Miami, South Beach, bringing the heat.
Yes, Will Smith. We're welcoming Sean back from Miami. Even though you say welcome to Miami. So welcome back, Sean. We're also joined by Josh here. We're going to talk about a little NFL free agency first. And then some predictions, I guess, for the upcoming NCAA basketball tournament. So, as Sean is furiously filling out his bracket as he does this, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before you screw up, go Kansas.
Well, see, some people would be saying go Kansas even without screwing up. So, I don't think that's that bad.
I can't go back now, so.
Well, you probably can. You just probably don't know how to do it. We'll start off with NFL free agency. Sean wrote our two pieces for offensive and defensive predictions of where people are going to sign, and he did a pretty good job calling where some of these players are going to go.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So that's all we're going to do for Sean is say congratulations on picking correctly for some of these guys.
I can accept that.
Okay. So we'll jump right into winners and losers then of free agency. We talked about it before, Sean and I think it sounds like Josh would agree as well that Denver is a big winner in free agency so far.
Yeah, they've made a lot of key signings this offseason, especially while they didn't really lose too much other than really Champ Bailey and Eric Decker. Getting T.J. Warden to lead to kind of solidify their back end because they were getting taken advantage of pretty badly at the end of the season there. Even especially losing Champ Bailey to leaves a massive upgrade. He's a lot younger, more athletic, has a little bit of wild side, but the upside is much higher than Champ right now, especially this part of his career. And then getting Emmanuel Sanders, even though boo to him, it's a good pickup as a new slot receiver instead of Decker. And getting DeMarcus Ware, he's DeMarcus Ware. He is going to cause so much trouble on the other side with Von Miller. That's going to be scary.
Yeah, now we're going to get into the Eric Decker thing. Or sorry, not the Eric Decker, the Emmanuel Sanders thing a bit later. So we'll talk about why you want to boo Emmanuel Sanders later. Personally, again, I think the Patriots did a really good job and have already penned themselves in for at least a divisional appearance in the playoffs by signing Browner and Revis. I mean, Browner had 6 picks in 2011. Even Revis, he only had 2 last year, but just teams don't throw at him anymore. They don't challenge him. He's one of the best, and he's one of the best corners in the game. So adding those 2 guys to solidify the corners of your defense, it's going to be very, very hard to throw against the Patriots next year.
I agree. Do you have any other ones, Brett?
Yeah, I say also the Patriots re-signed Edelman, which is nice for Tom Brady. I also think Detroit re-signing Pettigrew and adding Golden Tate. I mean, Pettigrew's been a nice fit in the Lions offense, and he has already taken some pressure off of Megatron, and I think Golden Tate's going to do even more so than that to have a legitimate number 2 wide receiver instead of whatever carousel of receivers they threw out last year.
Yeah, Burleson and Broyles and Witches and Tigers and Bears and oh my.
Yeah, exactly. So, Josh, what about you?
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. We're just live here.
I know. I was coughing.
Okay, good.
The one signing, like I was talking with Sean earlier, Washington and both of us have kind of agreed. They've kind of gone out and picked up a lot of solid depth players across the board. Really kind of flown underneath the radar, and I honestly think that they're going to be a team to look out for in the NFC East next season, especially with the amount of departures leaving Dallas because of the large contracts. I don't really see the Cowboys, which sucks because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I don't really see them doing that well next season, or doing as well as they should. And I really see Washington kind of being around at least the top 2 in the East next season. So definitely give them the win for that.
Sorry, I just want to add one more because I forgot about it as well. I mean, I agree with you that Washington did, and a lot of the stuff is kind of like, it hasn't been as publicized as some of the other big names, but they did do a lot of good work so far in the offseason.
Yeah, a lot of good depth signings.
Yeah, but what a good job by I think, by Philadelphia for picking up Sproles too.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, in Chip Kelly's offense, he
That's
gets
dangerous.
another fast back. I mean, McCoy was fantastic last year, but when you add the depth of Sproles, who can come in and probably do the same things like DeAnthony Thomas did in Oregon for Chip Kelly, it's going to be fantastic for the Eagles. The Eagles are going to be a fun team to watch.
If they already weren't.
If they are, yeah, they're going to be even more so a fun team to watch.
Plus now they get Macklin back.
That's also true.
That's another big, fast, scary weapon to get back to your offense.
Eagles are, as much as the Eagles were fun last year, they're going to be even more fun this year with what they've brought in, and I guess you could say re-signed because Macklin was a free agent.
Yeah. So Josh, who's your winners other than Washington?
Other than Washington, New Orleans, New England, as Brett mentioned, has done really well. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I'll get into that in a little. There.
I mean, so far that's and Denver obviously, and so far that's pretty much it for me.
Yep.
All right, so Sean, you agree with Denver, you agree with New England, and you want to speak about Tampa now, I guess, because that's all you want to talk about.
Actually, you were wrong, sir. I want to talk about one of the teams that Josh mentioned.
You want to talk about something else other than your Tampa Bay Buccaneers first?
Yes, other than the fact I went down there this week, saw Raymond James Stadium, pretty awesome. Took a picture.
In your Darrelle Revis jersey.
Yep. Not very happy that Revis left right after I was there in his jersey, but that's okay.
But out of your Josh Freeman, right?
God. The team I wanted to talk about was actually the team Josh just mentioned, New Orleans Saints. With them picking up Jarius Byrd to match with Ken Vaccaro, Rob Ryan is going to blitz even more so now that he has two extremely good cover corners and good run stuffing corners. Safeties. That's just going to be a scary combination. With Byrd by himself, turn that Buffalo defense into an actual scary, not scary, a pretty decent defense.
Pump your brakes, Sean. Pump your brakes.
Don't want to give you Bill Sentence any kind of, search for heaven or anything decent to think about. But Jarius Byrd and Vaccaro, that's two very athletic, very strong, good safeties that are there in Rob Ryan's defense. And then, as we were mentioning, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, I am a little bit of a homer, but they did do really good this offseason. Pick up Michael Johnson to kind of be their, hopefully, Simeon Rice. That's going back a old school reference right there. Coming in, being young, being really a pass rusher. He didn't have the numbers that he had in the year before with the sacks, but he led all defensive ends in pass rushes and quarterback knockdowns last year. So he can get to the quarterback. They signed Anthony Collins after cutting Donald Penn to replace Donald Penn at our left tackle. We also picked up Eric Dietrich-Smith to be our new guard, Josh McCown to be our new quarterback, and Alton Werner take over Reeves' spot, and a bunch of other depth signings at defensive tackle and tight end. They did a really good job this offseason.
Okay. Well, you're confident with your Bucks, and you took a shot at my Bills, but I don't care because I said worse about them.
You got Brandon Spikes. No,
I'm not. I still think we talked about it before, but I still don't think the Bills are doing anything this year. Let's go to losers. I'm going to start off with Eric Decker because why would you trade Peyton Manning for Geno Smith? I mean, I know he's gonna get paid, but if I'm Eric Decker, why not sign like a short 1-year deal or even a 2-year deal, win a championship potentially, and then sign your big money deal?
Maybe they're not offering the money.
Who cares? Get a championship and then get your money.
Well, would you rather sign something for like 20-something million or a short-term contract? It's the NFL. You can be cut.
No, I understand that, but I think that he is going to do. I think this is just like take your money and run, and he's going to do nothing with the Jets because the Jets are going to go nowhere.
This is going to be a Deion Branch situation all over again, where he got made because of his quarterback, and he's going to go to another team and just bomb.
I mean, kudos to Eric Decker for getting your money. I mean, keep getting them checks, but I don't know. I don't know. personally would not be in a situation where I leave Peyton Manning if I'm the wide receiver.
Yeah, especially since you only have him for a year or two at most. Then you can go get your money.
Exactly. Then you go get your money.
I think for somebody like Decker, I think it's more of a pride thing in himself. I think he realizes that in Denver he's a number 3 guy. He's not really, somebody that he's going to be looked at all the time. Whereas going to a team like the Jets, people in New York are gonna love him. I think he wants to be recognized as somebody that the home base of fans looks to as their star player, as one of their star players, and I don't think he had that at Denver. And he was pretty much kind of just floating in the shadows of Demetrius Thomas and
Wes Welker.
Yeah, Wes Welker, the other Thomas there. It's just
Julius Thomas.
Yeah, Julius Thomas, and I think that's what the issue is. And you know what? Good on Denver. Emmanuel Sanders, obviously, he kind of was. Sean's a little bit pissed off at him, but they picked up a great receiver that is going to add another big body target for Peyton to throw to.
No, yeah, they definitely did, and I like what you said about it being a source of pride, and the Jets fans can get behind him if he performs, because New York's going to be one of those fan bases that if he doesn't, they will turn on him as quickly as you flip a pancake.
As quickly as they turn on Centennial Holmes, who is now looking for work somewhere else.
Yeah. My other loser is the Carolina Panthers. I mean, cutting Steve Smith is
insane.
Yes. I mean, he's been the heart and soul of the franchise for I don't know, at least a decade, right? Like I don't know the exact number, but yeah, it's at least a decade.
It's got to be
I think about 12 years.
12 years, okay.
I'll double check.
He's one of the guys that I associate when you say Carolina Panthers, I think Steve Smith. So it's hard to see him being cut and signing with the Ravens.
14 years, Brett. 14 years.
14 years? Okay, so almost 15 years. 14 years, because that's how math works. Cutting him is who's Cam Newton going to throw to now? They've got to draft a wide receiver at this point.
They have to draft all the wide receivers at this point.
Yeah, exactly. You also lose Mike Mitchell to Pittsburgh, and you lose Captain Munnerlyn to the Vikes. And plus, you've only got Greg Hardy with a franchise tag, and you have Cam Newton coming up next year. So are you going to be able to re-sign both Cam Newton and Greg Hardy next offseason? You better hope so, or else it's going to be all for naught. I guess that's why they wanted to cut Smith, essentially, is to get some of his money off the books, maybe for next year. But what do you like? If you can't re-sign them both, then you've wasted this year, next year, and probably another 2 more years of Cam Newton's prime. Because that'd be turning into Cam Newton's prime now. And then, especially with him being more of a mobile quarterback, one bad hit, he's done too.
Yep.
So I don't know. I have to question what Carolina is doing, especially after they did so well last year.
12-4, yeah, that's a big turnaround. Their defense is still going to be strong, but they have nothing at corner. They didn't even have much to begin with. They have nothing at safety, and they have even less at wide receiver now. It boggles the mind. Before the offseason,
you wanted to, if you're the Carolina Panthers, you want to add another wide receiver to complement Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Or at least that would be the thought. And you know what's a kick in the face? The whole James Jones thing, saying I would like to be a Panther. That would be all right. I wouldn't mind being a Panther. I would sign with the Panthers. Then he goes and signs with the Raiders. I mean, he's going to do even less than. I mean, yeah, good for him, but the Raiders aren't going to do jack. They're the Raiders.
Yeah.
Especially in that division, they're not going to do jack.
No.
I mean, there'd have to be there are 3 teams out of that division would have to make the playoffs.
Yeah, at least they got out of cap hell, so at least they can start to rebuild that team now.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think the Panthers they done goofed.
Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, and that's my rant about losers.
Josh, your losers for free agency?
My losers for free agency, it sucks, but I'm gonna go with Dallas. Have done absolutely nothing. You cut, your franchise defensive player. Lose them for nothing. It's just the thing that kills me is that's a player that you could easily trade.
No,
and at least
his contract was way too much
for
how old he was, and knowing that it was kind of like the Revis situation. Sure, you could trade for him, but more than likely he's going to be cut. So
Yeah.
why spend? You're probably going to send at least a 4th, or 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Not really worth it in most teams' eyes. I wouldn't do it myself.
But at least you signed Brandon Whedon.
Yeah, 38-year-old quarterback.
He's like what, 31?
I think he's 31 now.
Third-year player. I mean, that's not bad, right?
Maybe it's
I mean,
20
it's not like you already signed your franchise quarterback to a ridiculous contract.
Yeah.
I don't mean ridiculous because I don't mind.
Oh no, his contract is ridiculous as well.
Yeah? I don't know. I think he takes a lot more flack for. He puts up numbers, but I guess he puts up. You probably know more, but he puts up more of those numbers at the beginning of the game rather than the end of the game.
Yeah.
No, he puts numbers out throughout the game. He just has that. He's got the Brett Favre syndrome. He's a gunslinger. He's gonna throw a bad pick. It usually happens when he throws that pick in a really bad situation. Bad time. Yeah.
But with your comparison to Favre being the gunslinger, it always seems that, like to me, maybe it's just because it's been more publicized with today's age. But it always seems that the bad pick for Romo has been at a worse time than it always was for Favre.
I don't know.
I'm just saying
the media loves Favre.
Exactly. I'm just saying that's the perception you're getting. It's because of this time. I mean, we look at it back now, we're like, haha, Favre's a gunslinger, but he's also won things.
He won one thing, and that was because.
But he's got MVPs too.
True. Tony Romo's put up MVP numbers. He's probably put numbers comparable to Brett Favre. It's just when you have Tom Brady and you have Drew Brees and you have Peyton Manning. Any other year, if those three guys just disappeared, he'd be MVP.
But he hasn't won anything, so that's why he gets the flack for being the gunslinger.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at before you kind of jumped on it. But that's fine. That's fair. It's a live discussion. Things happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets that flack for it because he hasn't won anything, won like a championship or a playoff game for that matter. Sorry. Actually, no, I'm not going to apologize for that. Bills haven't even been in the playoffs since 1999. Ugh. Sorry.
Self-depreciation.
Any other losers, Josh?
No, I'm just going to stick with that.
Okay.
So much hate in that discussion. All right, well, I guess I'll get into mine. Emmanuel Sanders Emmanuel Sanders' agent.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I don't know how much Sanders had to do with it.
Yeah, from what I've read, not very much. It seemed like it was all the agent, because the agent before was actually banned by the NFL. It was blacklisted, and eventually
he's decertified once already, right?
Yeah, and then he's pulled this stunt, so pretty much all his. Well, he got the money for Sanders. Don't get me wrong, good for him for that reason. He got even more money than what Tampa Bay and Kansas City were actually offering. So good on them for that, but to do it in the way he did it, that's shady. That's shady and a half. He's probably going to be blacklisted unofficially for like the rest of his career.
For those who don't know, Sean, do you want to explain what he did or what the agent did?
Oh yes. So Emmanuel Sanders' agent gave Kansas City his verbal word that he was signing with them. They've had the contract all laid out. They're all ready to go. And then he pulled out and went down to Tampa and said, I'm going to sign a contract with you guys. All ready to go. Tampa's ready to send that contract over to them. And then he went into Denver and said, okay, we're ready to sign a contract. He told them, we had to sign with the other team. We're going to sign a contract with you guys. And then he's eventually signed that contract he signed. So, very sketchy way to get more money. I know you usually tell teams, this guy give me this, blah, blah, blah. But the way you do it and, have all the paperwork ready to go and just need a signature and then you kind of, you screw them, that's sketchy.
Okay. I know, that. I agree with you. It is very sketchy, and they were talking about it on Pardon the Interruption today, and they said he probably should be decertified for it again, which would kick him out of football forever. So. Yeah,
I agree with that. My other, I guess I have two more. Roger Saffold to the Raiders, and then him not going to the Raiders because Mark was stepping in and nixing the deal. Bonehead move by the Raiders, of course. They just lost Jared Valdir to the Arizona Cardinals, which was a good sign for the Cardinals to protect Carson Palmer out there. But you got a guy that could potentially step in and not be as good as Jared Valdir, but pretty damn good. And you let him just walk away because your owner apparently failed the physical, but the Rams signed him immediately right after that, and he was fine for that. So I don't know what's going on there. The Raiders just made a bonehead move letting Roger Saffold get out of that deal. He was signed to a pretty decent contract from what I read, but I don't know. The Raiders just don't know what they're doing under Mark Davis. They need to figure something out and get going on that because that organization is turning into a joke.
And your other loser?
We've already talked about this a bunch off the podcast, but Julius Peppers to Green Bay. I don't like the signing whatsoever.
I've kind of come down on my stance of it. I'm not like that's why I dropped them. I had the Bears as a loser, but the more I thought about it, it's like they're not really a loser for cutting Peppers because they brought in his replacement.
His younger replacement.
Replacement. Yeah, it was very unfortunate. It was very unfortunate for the Bears that Peppers. For me, in my opinion, what I've read is that Peppers is very excited to play in a 3-4 defense, which you don't think he's going to fit into. But
well, if you
sorry, before you, I'm just going to finish my point. Just before you finish, I think he's going to be very motivated to play twice a year against Chicago, and we saw what Chicago has been able to give up in terms of sacks recently.
Yep.
I think Peppers is going to be at any time that the Panther sorry, I got distracted there by that pattern. If that picks up. I think Peppers is going to be a difference maker in those games, and would be a big factor in why, if the Packers, I should say, sweep the season series.
Yeah, I think Josh wanted to get his word in there with the padding.
Was that it?
No. I believe so. No, if you want to jump in there, Josh, get your opinion in before I start talking.
No, go ahead, Sean.
Okay. I believe if this was 5-ish years ago and Peppers signed in Green Bay, yeah, it's a good deal. Because I think he would take on that Mario Williams kind of hybrid role. But now at his age, I believe
34, I think.
30, yeah, I think it's 34 or 35. I just don't think he has that capability to do the stand-up role. 34, you're right. To do the stand-up role and rush the passer. He's been a 4-3 edge rusher his entire career, whether it be in the Panthers or Chicago. So for him to just switch over and want to become a 3-4 end for the Packers defense, I just don't like it. It doesn't make sense to me. He could have went to a 4-3 team that had some good defensive tackles, let him just get after the pass rusher and let him destroy. Instead, he went to a 3-4 team who uses Clay Matthews as their primary edge rusher at linebacker, not end. Unless they're planning on maybe moving to a 4-3, which I don't believe they are. It just doesn't make sense for me. If this was a couple years ago and he still had the athleticism and the speed to get around the corner and just bull rush and destroy tackles and tight ends, yeah. But at 34, he's on the downside of his career. He had down numbers last year. I just don't believe it's a good fit. He only had 7.5 sacks. For what he's getting paid, what he was getting paid. Sacks. True, but for what he was getting paid and what he is getting paid now, that's not big numbers.
I see your point, but it's not like 7.5 sacks is something to shake a stick at.
No,
sure, you're over.
Sacking for 2 games, pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see it as a good fit. Nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying it's a terrible signing, but he could have went to a much better situation. He was free agent before DeMarcus Ware, if I think so. He could have went to Denver instead. That would have been a much better fit for him.
I think they were cut about the same time. But then again, by then it was pretty obvious that DeMarcus Ware was going to get cut. So maybe Denver's like, well, we're just going to wait. If Ware gets cut, we'll pounce on him. And if not, then maybe we'll bring in Peppers.
That could be it. But I don't know. I think those other fits that could have been better for him. Not saying that it's a terrible fit. I just think he could have done much better situation.
Yeah, you also got to remember, DeMarcus Ware is considered a linebacker. He's not considered a defensive end.
Well, he's both. He can play both. He's got the size to play both. Peppers is about 280. He's 6'4", 280. He's too big to play linebacker.
I'm going to defer to the Cowboys fan and person who probably watched more DeMarcus Ware than anyone else in this podcast on his opinion of DeMarcus Ware.
I watch Cowboys games all the time on TV.
I don't know. I think Josh might have more of an interest in it than you.
Yeah, I still watch games, though.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying I think Josh would be better to judge, personally, in my opinion.
Well, he's a better stand-up linebacker since he can get an edge rush, but he can play defensive end. He does have the strength and speed.
No, yeah. Originally he played defensive end. They played a 4-3 for a while, and then They moved to the 3-4, and he moved to the outside, and exactly what Sean said. Yeah, he's a phenomenal stand-up rusher, and that's why, having him and Von Miller and everybody else in Denver, that's why it's going to be one of the craziest pass rushing teams.
But they
in the
also
league
played a
next season.
4-3 in Denver now. So he's still going to be a defensive end in that situation with Miller coming off the opposite side of linebacker.
Yeah.
So, and then with Peppers, he's kind of like that Mario Williams situation. Mario Williams is still younger, so he was able to do the transition from back and forth. But Peppers at his age, 34, at 280, 6'4", 6'5"-ish, he's not going to have that athleticism to put a linebacker to drop him back into coverage, or he's just going to get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
So unless they plan on putting a just stand-up edge rusher as kind of like almost a 3-4 or something like a 4-3 end, but like standing up, okay, maybe I could see it'd be fine. But if they play him as an actual defensive end, they're just wasting his talent.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the Pepper signing.
That's fine. I mean, I think Pepper's going to be the biggest games he's going to have is when he plays the Bears. That's all.
Probably.
I'm saying.
He's probably going to go after them, kind of like when
Yeah.
he did when he faced Carolina.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what.
So before we move away from NFL free agency, is there anything else anybody wants to add about who they think should sign somewhere or who they hope their team gets?
Well, let's. Where do you think Mike Vick should go?
Not Buffalo.
Even as
He
a
wants
backup?
he wants to start. That's what he said.
True.
So if he's going to come in and wants to compete,
Well, he was a good mentor for Nick Foles. Apparently, they had a good relationship in Philadelphia, so he could be that backup, or maybe fight for it and becomes a good backup.
I respect your opinion about
You don't
that.
think it's gonna happen?
I do. I don't think it's going to happen.
I
I think he wants to go to a team where he will be the starter. Period. Not have to fight for a job or anything like that. That's
Problem
me
is
personally.
those chances are few and far between at this point in the league.
I know which is why he might sign late. Maybe if somebody gets hurt in preseason.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good idea for him.
I mean, I would like to see him compete with EJ Manuel, but also I don't believe there's any way that unless EJ Manuel gets hurt, that Vic will see a start as a Buffalo quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think what's going to happen with Vic is I think he's going to end up getting. He's going to wait. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not signed until some point in the season, to where a team is, that feels, oh, should we sign Vic right now, or can we get by with our quarterback that we have, whether it be Jacksonville or Oakland, whoever. And then, they play a couple of games, if they're hurting, or say, for instance, their top quarterback gets hurt, even the first starting team, your starter gets hurt and you need a quarterback.
Vic will be good.
Vic is a good guy that you can sign for the rest of the season, and have come in and lead your team. And I think that if the longer Vic waits out on a contract, the more money he's going to get paid when it comes to it. Because
I don't know about that.
No.
It depends on the situation with the quarterback and what team. So say Peyton Manning goes down in Denver or something like that. He's gonna get probably a 1-year deal for probably $5 to $6 million anyways. So I don't think it's really gonna change. If he gets a long-term deal, I think he knows at this point he's gonna be the backup with the potential for number 1 spot. So say a Cleveland team or an Oakland team.
But that's what I mean. That's where he's going to be. He'll be paid less.
But he'll get more years, I'd say.
Yeah, but for somebody in Mike Vick's, situation, I would rather get signed for the 1 year with big money and prove to teams in the league that I still have what it takes to be a starter in the NFL, and then sign a big deal the following season. Not sign a long-term deal for 1.5 or $2 million a season, and then be like, okay, well, now I'm stuck making $2 million a season when I could have made $6 million last year, and then signed, a deal for $4 million, or a long-term deal for $4 million a season. So that's the only reason why I think Vic will end up holding out longer than he does.
What team though?
Whoever needs it. Whoever needs.
Oh, he's just going to be okay.
I think he's going to be that guy that a team is going to call at some point throughout the season, and say, hey, you know what, our guy got hurt, shit, we need to find somebody, we need somebody to come in and fill in. And it's weird, but for instance, if something like, say Cutler gets hurt because he's pressured and he gets rocked. McCallum's not there in Chicago anymore, so, what does Chicago do? Does Chicago say, you know what, shit, we need to sign a quarterback, let's sign Vic for the rest of the season because Cutler's out. Cutler's got a pretty decent injury track record.
Actually, that would be a pretty good place for him to sign. Cutler would be a good backup for Cutler. They can always bring him in for wildcat situations and stuff like that. That's just not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I agree with you in the fact that I don't think he's going to sign right away. Like I said, I think he's going to wait until I think it'd be smart for him to wait till the preseason to see where you get a good opportunity. Because there's going to be teams.
Quarterbacks.
Like, think about it. Say Castle. Sorry, not Castle. No, Castle. No, Ponder. Sorry, Ponder. Yeah, exactly.
No, it's Castle.
Say Ponder sucks again in the preseason, which, he might.
He will.
How especially with all the rumors of Adrian Peterson to Dallas, because that's always there, the Peterson rumors. Why not bring in Mike Vick? Even because think about it, you'll have
nothing to lose.
You'll have nothing to lose, and then your offense, you have Mike Vick, Adrian Peterson, Cordell Patterson,
Greg Jennings, and the tight
ends. Mike Vick, Adrian Peterson, Cordell Patterson. I'm just talking about speed alone. That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
Especially because we saw Patterson play out of the backfield last year.
Yeah, which was weird, but especially losing Gerhardt. So I got a question: did the Bills sign Keith Rivers? I believe they did.
Maybe the Bills did sign a bunch of people, including the biggest catch. We re-signed our kicker, which fantastic. That was the big signing of the day when that happened. But we brought back Brian Mormon too, so that's nice too.
That's good.
Sorry, I'm just very bitter about Buffalo in general. Maybe it's because of the fact. Maybe it's because of. Yes, he did sign in Buffalo. Maybe it's because of the fact that we lost Bird for nothing, and we knew it was coming all along because he held out last year. He was holding out. He was going to hold out last year, and he didn't play because of his quote unquote foot injury. So. Oh well, that's just me being bitter. But like I said to you before, Sean, I don't think they're going to win 5 games this year.
Such a hating Bills fan. So this is gonna sound weird, but I think we should move on to some basketball.
Well, that's why I was saying the one last thing before to wrap up free agency. Josh, do you have anything else to add for free agency before we go? Before we go on to a new topic?
It's good. Let's talk about the madness.
Let's talk about the madness. As Sean is still, I think, filling out his brackets.
Hold on.
You're done. Okay. So conference championships last week, and most were actually fantastic basketball games, except maybe the sleeper of the Big Ten final, which kind of let the rest of the tournament down after such great games like Ohio State, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan State was pretty good too. Let's get into. Well, I watched a lot of the Big Ten tournament, as you can see. I guess let's start off for for Canadian basketball, and what a great showcase this could be for some rising Canadian talent.
Yeah.
Josh, you want to jump on that?
Yeah.
You did the thing about already talked about Wiggins before.
Yeah, obviously, you have Andrew Wiggins in Kansas, who is the 2nd seed, I believe, in the Southwest.
Yep.
And then going along with him,
like Tyler Ennis in Syracuse.
Tyler Ennis is in Syracuse. Syracuse is 3rd seed, I believe, as well.
Stauskas
and both
Michigan.
Southwest.
Stauskas in Michigan.
Yeah, Stauskas in Michigan. There's a lot of
Purdue, or what is it? Is it Purdue?
Baylor. It's Baylor.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Purdue's not even in the tournament.
I noticed it's going to start with P. That's my mistake.
It's a B, not P.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay,
it's not Baylor.
There's a ton of actual Canadian basketball talent. It really shows how much our nation's developed a program. That we have, these players being able to go into the NCAA and actually be on successful teams. I mean, each Canadian player, the worst team that's on, the worst ranked team right now, with one of those Canadian players on it is Baylor at a 6th seed.
Wait, I got a question. If you were to go into the draft right now, who'd you take, Ennis or Wiggins?
Wiggins.
Wiggins.
Why?
Wiggins. I think Wiggins is going to pan out as a better pro long term.
Okay. Just curious. I know less about basketball than you guys, but Ennis has just had a really, really good year. It's kind of like, damn, this kid's good.
Yeah.
That's all I want to ask.
Wiggins.
Yeah, I just think at this point it's Wiggins.
Okay.
Especially for long-term basketball career, he's probably going to be a better pro longer throughout his career, as well as the immediate market value that he's going to bring to your team. It's a way better decision.
You're essentially going to get an entire country following you if what TSN's been showing about Kansas basketball.
Yeah.
Then you're going to get pretty much the entire country following you.
I'm just curious because I thought Ennis has had a really good year this year.
He has, but I haven't heard anything because I know about Tyler Ennis. I watch Syracuse. I like to watch the ACC because I like Duke, and my dad and my brother like Carolina. But I haven't really heard what Ennis's intentions are for next season. I don't know if he's coming back or not. Have you heard anything, Josh?
I have not, no.
Okay, so for all we know, he might not even come out this year. I mean, there's so many players that do one and done now, but yeah, I agree. Wiggins would be the person to go with right now.
Okay, just curious.
As for number one overall pick, that's a different conversation altogether. But
that's another conversation down the road.
Exactly. So I guess one of the things to start to talk about would be maybe some either big upsets you're looking forward to, or maybe just games in general in the first weekend that you are looking forward to watching, or that could potentially happen.
I think I'm just looking at the games here. There's so many that I just actually want to watch. I think one of the better games is going to be Oklahoma. Like in the first round, I think the best game is going to be Gonzaga, Oklahoma State.
Okay.
I personally took Oklahoma State to win it.
So did I.
As a 9 over the 8.
I also picked Oklahoma State over Arizona, by the way.
I didn't do that.
So what would you take? Arizona State over?
No, we're talking the top of the West bracket.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
With Arizona, the Arizona
and Weber State.
I guess, yeah, Arizona, Weber State. I personally have Oklahoma State beating Arizona in the quote unquote third round, but it's the second round.
Yeah.
I have Gonzaga win that one.
Also, I have BYU, Birmingham. I have, which is number 10 seed, taking out Oregon, which is at the number 7.
I can see that happening. I'm not. I would.
Stanford over New Mexico.
I like the hype around Harvard to beat Cincinnati. That's a game that's been hyped up that Harvard could win. So
yeah,
that could be interesting.
Yeah, there's a ton, man. That it's just. I have George Washington over Memphis. Just trying to look. That's pretty much it.
So, what do you think of? I don't really have that. See, I don't really have that many big upsets. One of the ones I would be very interested in picking is UMass versus Iowa or Tennessee, because depending whoever wins that playing game, I think maybe if it's Tennessee, maybe they could squeak out a win over UMass. I don't know. That's why I don't like having the playing games decide a 11th seed, because that's a prime upset seed. And if you're telling me Iowa or Tennessee is good enough to be an 11th seed in the tournament, if they win, why aren't they just in the tournament?
Yep.
I mean, I get why it is.
Actually, I have that as an upset from the round one with either of those teams.
So do I. I mean, I get why they do it, because you put the big name schools on these Tuesday night games, and people will actually watch them, and it makes sense. Because I was actually talking to my dad about it. He's like, "Oh, I might check out Iowa, Tennessee because I know those teams. Mm-hmm. And that's what they want to do. They want to get people to watch these games." But
that's also like NC State and Xavier.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Xavier's had a great basketball program for multiple years, always in the tournament. NC State did extremely well. I think it was last year or the year before they had a pretty decent run as well. So
they had a good run in the ACC tournament this year too.
Yeah. and I mean over St. Louis. The 12-5 games and the 11-6 and the 10s and 7s, it's up for grabs. Those are your real upset games, and I mean it is what it is.
Yeah, I watched. I've only seen Oregon once, and they beat Arizona in that game, but both teams went through a stretch where they just missed a bunch of shots, and I was not sold on Oregon whatsoever. But something I might be looking forward to in the second round is I think Baylor's going to get by Nebraska, and I think Creighton's going to get by Louisiana. So I think that Baylor-Creighton matchup Sean already mentioned Brady Heslop. I think he's from Burlington, right? Burlington? That makes sense. Yeah, Burlington.
From Michigan?
No, Baylor.
No, he's not from Burlington. No, yeah. I don't think he's from Burlington. I think he's from Woodville.
Brampton, probably.
It's somewhere in this area.
Anyways, I think the matchup there against Creighton with Doug McDermott, who is I think 7th at this point in all-time NCAA scoring, is sorry?
I think he's 4th.
Did he get up to 4th through the tournament?
I think he's 4th now.
Well, that's something to look up. But anyways, I think that'll be an interesting matchup. And even though right now I have Wisconsin in the Final Four, which I reserve the right to change up until the deadline, I think that Baylor or Creighton, with the way they can shoot the basketball, would be a very, very good test against Wisconsin, a team that's traditionally very good defensively, but plays a lot of 2-3 zone. And if you can make shots outside the zone, that's the recipe to beat Wisconsin.
Yeah, I got Baylor going in the Sweet 16 against Wisconsin, and I got Wisconsin coming out of it. So
yeah, I've got Wisconsin coming out of it as well. So
I have teams coming out of it. I just kind of picked for the fact we have to.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to technically do it if you really didn't want to.
Yeah. No, of course I want to do it.
I mean, you or Mike Mitchell will probably end up winning it. Doug McDermott is 5th, by the way, in total
scoring.
Oh, he is?
Okay. I thought he was 4th last time I saw.
And Brady Heslop is from Burlington, Ontario. So.
Oh, nice. Just down the road.
Yeah, so what I was saying was, I forget what I was going to say before I got distracted by that. Anyways, we're just going to move on because I forget. It probably wasn't a good point anyways.
Should we say who we have in our...
I remember what it was. Mike Mitchell or Sean's probably going to win because they don't know a lot about it.
And they just randomly pick, yeah.
Yeah, and those are the people that always win.
Playing pro line.
Yeah.
Exactly.
By the way, did you see the Warren Buffett deal that they brought out?
$1 billion if you have a perfect
bracket. Warren Buffett's going to pay $1 million to the person that can select a perfect bracket.
Million with an M or billion with a B?
Billion.
Billion, yeah.
Hope I win.
Yeah.
What kind of proof do you need? Just showing it like, hey, this is my perfect bracket.
You gotta pretty much print it out, and it's gotta be submitted, and it'll say like this is your score and all that shit.
Yeah.
But that being said, Final Four predictions. I'll let Brett start.
Maybe I should start since I have a amount of knowledge here, and you can kind of say if it's good or not. So out of the South, because I kept clicking Kansas because
you can fix that very easily.
I can't figure out how to do it, so we're going Kansas.
Just click another team that was playing Kansas to beat them.
I still wanted Kansas to get there. So Kansas out of the South, I have Michigan State out of the East, I have Duke out of the Midwest, and I have Arizona out of the West. That's my Final Four.
As I've already said, I have.
Hold on, who'd you have out of the East?
East, I had Michigan State.
Okay.
Well, as we already said, I have Arizona losing in the second round, or third round, I guess, technically, to Oklahoma State. My Final Four is Florida, which, by the way, if Florida plays Kansas, which I have them doing, that would be a fantastic basketball game.
I have that one as well.
I've got Michigan State as well. They're healthy at the right time, and
I had them against Villanova.
They looked really good. I have them beating Iowa State, but I think Michigan State looked really, really good in the Big Ten tournament. Virginia, by the way, I believe is the worst of the 1 seeds.
Yeah.
I know they're the 4 seed, which makes it obvious to say they're the worst of the 1 seeds, but even though I have Arizona losing early, I just think it's because Oklahoma State shouldn't be a 9 seed. I think they should be a bit higher. Maybe like a 7 or something. Out of the Midwest, I've got Louisville.
Ooh, defending champions.
Yeah, and I think it's just because I think they're slighted at this point. Before the selection show, Rick Pitino, the coach, said he thought they'd be a number 1 seed. They're the 5th ranked team in the nation overall, but they're somehow a 4th seed. So I think they have a chip on their shoulder now. A lot of the players took to Twitter and Instagram that they're like, "Are you serious for a 4 seed?" They thought people were joking. So I think there's a huge chip on their shoulder, and the Midwest is probably just a group of death anyways. When you have the top 4 of Wichita State, Louisville, Duke, and Michigan in no particular order.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous. So congratulations to Wichita State for going the season undefeated. You have to face off against the defending champions, a perennial powerhouse in Duke, and the team that made the final last year but lost to Louisville, Michigan. Then out of the West, I guess I have Wisconsin just because I don't really have anybody else right now. Like I have Wisconsin playing Oklahoma State in the Elite Eight.
I had Wisconsin and Creighton.
In the Sweet 16.
Yes.
In the Elite Eight, I had Oklahoma State play Wisconsin. And because of that zone, I think it's going to be hard for Marcus Smart to... Statistically hasn't been the best outside shooter, so I think he would have a hard time against the zone. And that team has kind of gone how Marcus Smart has gone for most of the year. So that's why I've got Wisconsin there. And then Florida, Louisville in the national championship with Florida winning. I don't like it because I hate picking the number 1 overall seed to win the tournament, but Florida's been on such a roll lately. They went undefeated through SEC play. I think they're going to be very hard to beat at this point of the year.
Oh, wow! I feel like an idiot. I have one number 1 seed in the Final Four, and it's none of the ones that you guys probably would ever think that would be there. In the South, I have Syracuse coming out of the South.
That's fair.
Arizona coming out of the West, which is the number 1 seed.
I have that.
I have Duke and Louisville in the Elite Eight with Duke coming out of there. And I have Michigan State and Iowa State with Michigan State coming out of there. So Duke, Michigan State, Syracuse, and Arizona are my Final Four. And then I have Duke and Michigan State in the finals with Duke winning it.
That sounds pretty similar to mine, other than having Syracuse and Kansas switched. So I have Arizona.
It is the same. The one interesting fact that they dropped at the end of the Michigan Michigan Big Ten final is that this senior class of Michigan State players is one of the only ones that hasn't in the last 4 years reached a final or the Final Four. That's how good Michigan State's been, and it's just they've had a down year mainly because of injuries. And my dad loves Michigan State, so he tells me all the time about Michigan State. So maybe I'm hyped up on them, but a lot of people are picking Michigan State.
I'm a Duke fan, and I think that, it's weird. I have I have Florida beating CU, and then I have Syracuse beating Kansas, and then Syracuse beating Florida.
Yeah.
And then, Michigan State versus a team like Syracuse. It's exactly what you said. Michigan State is a team that gets hot. They have a phenomenal coach.
Yeah.
They get hot at the right times, and I think that, in the past 2 years at least, they've made it so close, and this is what you're talking about, that group of seniors that's there now. In the last 2 or 3 seasons, they have been so close to making the finals, and they've been in the Final Fours, the last 2 seasons, and they've been striving to just make that championship and make it happen. And you have a experienced group of guys that's now, been playing together for, 3-4 years, that have been, at this tournament multiple times on top of their coaching and just the foundation. You got to remember, a lot of these upsets come from teams that aren't prepared mentally for this tournament. And
or take the other team too lightly.
Or take the other team too lightly, and that's not how Michigan is going to be. And like I said, I'm a Duke fan. I think they have a phenomenal chance with Jabari Parker as well as Edelman, and that's the final in my opinion. So I hope Duke wins, but Michigan State deserves it as well. So.
Yeah, I struggled actually. I originally had Duke in the Final Four because I have Louisville and Duke in the Elite Eight as well. And then just something about it made me change my mind and go back to Louisville. But if Jabari Parker can take over, especially the way he's been playing lately, I think Duke is a very, very dangerous team in this tournament.
Yeah, this tournament is going to be what establishes who's picked first, whether it's Parker or Wiggins. I don't think either of them are actually going to be the first pick overall.
You think it's going to be Embiid?
It's going to be Joel Embiid, yeah. Is my prediction for it. And personally, I think Parker is going to go second, and I think this tournament's really going to define that. I think Andrew Wiggins is, his regular season play, cool, whatever. But I think when it comes to being on the big stage and millions of people in the nation watching you, and other north of the border in Canada watching you play in this tournament, this is the biggest tournament of your college career. I think Parker's
probably his only career.
Yeah,
probably his only chance at it too.
His only chance at it, exactly. Parker has more of a stable mindset to deal with the tournament. So I feel Duke will succeed. Definitely surpass Kansas.
Yeah, and the thing that especially that hurts Kansas, I mean, Wiggins has played very well ever since Embiid got hurt and is out with his back injury. But if they can't get in, if they're lucky, as what Coach Bill Self said, lucky to get out of the first weekend, I mean, his first game back is going to be against Syracuse.
Yep.
Syracuse or a tough, very physical Ohio State team.
Yep.
So that's tough. That's a tough place for Embiid. So I think if Kansas can't get back Embiid quickly, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. I mean, Wiggins has played very well, but he's put up numbers I think he had 40 and 10 in the one game. But they can't stop anybody. But I think that's enough for the tournament. We'll have more to talk about the NCAA tournament once we get into it. Probably get some, surprises and things like that. But it's time to wrap things up with our high fives and face palms. I'm going to start because I'm talking right now. My face palm is to parents who videotape their kids' reaction to players being cut, who know that it's going to make them cry or very angry, or like in this case, the Steve Smith video that was just posted, smack the camera. I mean, they just want YouTube hits. It's not fair to the kid. It's not cool for the kid. I mean, why would you do that? Your kid's going to be upset because that's why you have the video camera there. You're setting them up for it. I mean, why would you put your kid through that? I mean, it's a business, I know, but don't videotape his reaction and post it on the internet for apparently people to laugh at. That's stupid, and it's not good parenting, in my opinion. My win, after I calm down a bit, it goes to Nick Stauskas' girlfriend, who on Instagram posted a picture, a really funny picture of Nick Stauskas eating Kraft macaroni and cheese, but instead of the noodles, there was the picture of Ohio State guard Aaron Kraft, who got I wouldn't say manhandled, but who was beat by Michigan in the semifinal of the Big Ten tournament. I thought it was a really funny picture, and just not creative, but it was funny as someone who likes Stauskas and likes Michigan. So that's my high five to her, and high five to Nick Stauskas for his girlfriend.
Go ahead, Sean.
All right, I guess I'll start in. My fail for the week it will be Jim Irsay, the Colts owner, for facing 4 felony counts for IV drugs found on him. You're the goddamn owner of the Colts. Why are you getting? I don't get these drug charges for these millionaires or billionaires.
They can afford it. They can afford it.
But what if he goes to prison? It doesn't make sense to me. You're a billionaire. Have someone take the rap for you. Pay them $1 million.
This is worse than when you said Aaron Hernandez should pay someone to kill somebody.
Wouldn't you if you're a millionaire?
No, I wouldn't pay someone to kill someone. That's still illegal.
Well, it's still better than doing it yourself.
No, it's not. It's the same thing.
But your hands don't get dirty.
Oh my god.
I like it dirty.
And then my high five for the week, actually it's going a little bit off the board that we usually talk about, is to new welterweight champion in the UFC, Johnny Hendricks, for finally getting the job done after him and Robbie Lawler putting on an incredible fight Saturday night for the welterweight championship. I'm not sure if it's Josh's thing. I don't think Brett really likes UFC, but they put
I'm not opposed to it.
They put on a hell of a fight. And okay. Yeah, it was a hell of a fight. I really enjoyed that. And Johnny Hendricks, especially, I thought he beat George St. Pierre in the last fight for the welterweight championship to finally get over that hump and get that belt. Good on him.
That it?
That's it.
All right. My high five this week is going to go to Toronto FC's striker Jermaine Defoe, who had their debut on Saturday against the Seattle Earthquakes or Sounders. I can't remember what
Sounders.
Jermaine Defoe put in 2 goals within the first, I believe it was 14 or 24 minutes, and ended up getting named the MLS Player of the Week. So good on him. He's actually scored in every single debut for every single team he's ever played for.
That's a stat right there.
Yeah, my high five goes to him. My face palm for the week's not really sports related, but to the pilot of Sean's plane for not crashing the plane because
Oh my god!
Because that's all I got. That's all I got.
That is terrible.
All right, sorry.
Terrible human being.
Let me rephrase that. Not for that, because it was pretty bad. For the customs officer at the border for allowing Sean McDermott to come back in while he was extremely red and feeling.
I'm not that bad. That is terrible. You want me to die. I am really gonna punch you in the nuts next time I see you.
Now, how does it feel, Sean, that you want to, that people want, you to die? And you're saying people should pay other people to kill people.
But as long as Josh...
Maybe I'll just pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, maybe I'll just pay someone to kill you, Sean. Maybe you pay off the pilot.
I could just pay the pilot.
Yeah.
You should have been on that Air Malaysia flight, Sean.
Wow. I'm not sure if I should be offended or just for the fact you made that joke or the fact that I should be on that flight. That's... You are going to hell, sir.
Shots fired.
All right. Well,
that's a good thing. I think we've overstayed this conversation. Sean is still working on his mock draft, which he says he's still going to do 3 of, but
It's going down to 2.
Yeah, I figured. Josh, you're still working on the previews for the players, right?
Dick is what he's working on.
Sean, shut your mouth. You had enough time to speak in the NFL segment.
Yeah.
You're still working on the draft preview for the NBA?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I might write something about feelings about the tournament, but whatever. You never know. I have a lot of writing to do for the paper, so that kind of increases the motivation to write. So anyway, you can follow Sean on Twitter at _Sean McD2. Josh is at SpadsDJ for more of his hilarious comments about Air Malaysia, apparently.
I have not made one tweet about Air Malaysia.
I know, I'm just kidding around.
No.
I'm just kidding around. Not yet. That might get tweeted out just as a joke, but then again, it's a terrible joke. But hilarious none the same. I am at SmithBR10. We are at Sport by Schmucks. Follow us on Twitter, like us on YouTube, subscribe to us. As always, thank you for listening and interact with us. We like to, if you want us to talk about something, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, comment on one of the videos, anything like that. So, thanks for listening and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oy boyo.